You had a walkover followed by the match with Karlovic, which can be very tricky, not a lot of rhythm. But then last night against Bernie Tomic, spectacular display on your behalf. How good is it to get that match under your belt, maybe hit a few more balls out there? Well,
it was a big match. I was nervous going into it, just knowing sort of the pressure, playing sort of the hero, you know, in Australia here. And I've been going through this many times in my career, you know, playing Agassi in America or Murray in England, and, you know, now Tomic here. So it's always a different feeling. And I was happy that I played really well. I thought I played the right way. I played good. I was able to, you know, play better and better as the match went on, and I was very happy at the end because I had to play great tennis to come through yesterday. Anything else would have been really a difficult and tricky match for me.
This is the first time I've ever seen him play, and when I watched him the first week, he reminded me of when I first saw you at Wimbledon. You know, he has the power, he also has the finesse, and he has the court sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about his future?
Yeah, I think a very good future ahead. Like, let's say 2 years ago, I wasn't quite sure because he does look a bit awkward on court because he doesn't quite always hit the ball very hard. So when he misses, it doesn't look good. But then when he wins points, it looks great. So there's a fine line. And I think he's done really well the last 2 years to keep up his great anticipation, but now also use his power much more. And he's actually been really fit, I thought, this tournament because he had really had a difficult draw. And then to come out against me and then having to back it up was not so simple. So I have to give him a lot of credit. And I think he's going to be a future top 10 player for sure.
Yeah.
For the fans who follow us really just during the Grand Slam coverage, not sure everyone knows, we saw you lose at the U.S. Open, and you haven't lost since. And that was such a crushing loss, I'd imagine. How did you mentally recover from that? Because we have seen players sort of go into a hole for a few months after a loss like that.
Well, I think exactly like you say, I think after losses you can take it two ways. You say, okay, accept it and move on, and, you know, work hard again at yourself and trying to not ignore it, but take the positives out of it, because it wasn't a poor match I played against Djokovic. No. He played great, and okay, could have won, should have won potentially, but at the end, Novak was the best player of the season and in that tournament too, so he deserved it. And you got to acknowledge that and then be able to move on. And for me, I had a really difficult trip right after. I had to fly all the way down to Sydney to play Davis Cup on grass against Tomic and Leighton Hewitt, which again was very difficult. But I think that kind of then kickstart, you know, the next phase for me is like, okay, 6 weeks off. What do I do? How do I prepare for what's to come? And then I played an amazing indoor season, and now I had actually a good start to the season, even though I had some back issues. But it's been a really good, you know, sort of a time for me. I'm not asking myself any questions at the moment. I know exactly what I want to do at the important moments of the match, which maybe when you're a little bit in doubt, you know, you don't have that same sense. And I'm very confident at the moment, and I think it shows in the matches.
Well, we saw Serena being upset just now, and she, at 30 years old, I think has acknowledged that you have also more bad days when you get older, because you played so many years. But I mean, has your training on the court and off the court changed from when you were dominating like 5-6 years ago? Is it a little more intense? Is it different?
I think it's a bit different. I think it obviously changes also with every coach I've been with. You know, I used to practice a bit differently with Tony Roach, then with Paul Annacone, then with Severin Luthi, who's with me as well now. The times when I didn't have a coach, you know, when I was more with Mirka and just a friend. And I guess I started to get to know me very well back then, you know, knowing exactly what I want to do, what I need to do, and what do you want to work on your strength or on your weaknesses. I'm a big fan of working on your strength, actually. Good. Because your weaknesses are going to improve by itself, because everybody will play to your weakness, you know. So my backhand used to be my weakness. I don't want to say it's my strength today, but it's definitely not as big of a weakness anymore, because I've gotten thousands and thousands of ball going into my backhand. So I always do believe that you have to work on your strengths, and I kind of kept on doing that for many years. I don't think I've changed that much the last 5-6 years in terms of you know, physical work, just because I guess from 20 to 25, that was the time when I really had to get a solid base and really fit. And then from 25 it was just about maintaining, not getting injured, and, you know, if I would get 5 months off, I could work much more on my fitness, but I can't. I only ever get 6 weeks in a row. So
it's like it's more of a physical sport with, you know, Djokovic and Nadal, and everybody's just bulking up a little bit.
But
not that you're not
fitness today is not an issue anymore for me, really, but I need to keep on working at it just because it's important.
Well, following Djokovic's run last year, an incredible season, we saw Andy Murray go out and get a new coach in Yvonne Lendl, and Rafael Nadal came in and broke down with Chrissy the other day how he's added 3 grams of weight weight to his racket to get a heavier shot. Have you done anything, not to say dramatic, but that certainly seems to be reactionary to what happened on tour last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always have to decide what's best for you, you know. Sometimes people question themselves too much when it's not going so well. I like to question myself when it's going well, actually. You know, what can you still improve? Because there's always something you can improve. That can be, you know, fiddling around with your racket, you know, if you think it's worth it. If you want to do it, you know, in coaching, that's that. Or you can do it in your practice or in your fitness, or maybe in how you eat. Some guys are doing some different types of diets, right? Or
gluten-free,
you know, good for them. Or different types of sleeping, you know.
Good for them.
You know,
good for them. Let them do it.
Let them do it. I don't do it. So but you know, whatever works for you, I think is very important. And I think there's many different ways to go at it. Scheduling, how much tennis can you really play? How much time off should you get? It is tricky in some ways, but for every player, something else will work, actually. And that's why I think it's good to try it out and not just stay put with one thing, because unfortunately we only have one career. If I would have 10 careers, I would do, you know, just stay put with one thing. But because we only have one, we have to change it up sometimes, you know, to keep it interesting.
Sounds like you
for
like
us.
to keep it simple too, though. You know, like
some way you have to keep it simple. Yeah.
Distractions.
Yes, exactly.
We had Rafa in here the other day, and he was talking about how special your rivalry was. It's the best rivalry now in men's or women's tennis. How special is it for you when you play him?
It's a good one. You know, I enjoy playing against him. We've lived up to the expectations many times, and then sometimes, you know, we didn't. It's normal, I think, when you play, you know, that many times. But I enjoy it. You know, I follow him in the draw, and I know that I am now one match away from him. You know, if he wins and I win, and I'd love it, you know, to happen here, especially since I think an epic 5-set match we had here in the finals, you know, a few years ago. And he's doing really well. I'm surprised he's only the 4th favorite in this tournament for some reason, you know, behind Murray and me, because he has played extremely well last year again, and it took a great Novak Djokovic to beat him 6 times in finals. Imagine if he wouldn't have been there. So I think Rafa always gets put, you know, under the radar. He flies a bit under the radar, also because of what he says. He's never really the favorite. He's never feeling that great, but he's still around, you know. And I expect him to be really tough here again, and I hope our rivalry takes it to the next step now with this next match.